But was there anybody in particular that inspired you, or you saw and you thought, that sounds interesting?
Yeah, so it wasn't, the catalyst for me truly deciding, I tell people all the time that God kind of has to yell at me before I go. So, here it was, I had a professor that's like, oh, come do mock trial. And he's on me like, oh, you need to apply to law school. I still wasn't necessarily completely convinced. But I did become a victim of a series of hate crimes on campus, myself and a couple of other Black students. And it was that experience that I think kind of tipped me over and made me say, I never want someone to feel the way that I feel. Because I felt helpless, I did not know what to do, and they were trying to figure out who did what to us, and they brought in these lawyers from the Cochran firm, and they were there to try to assist and to investigate, and they never figured it out. But even though I had been to the private schools where I typically was one of a few, I never really felt racism. I heard about it in songs, because I had older cousins, so all of the rap songs was talking about it at the time, but I never really truly felt it. Or if I did, I didn't know that was what was happening. But once somebody started calling me everything but a child of God, I felt it. And so, so that was another thing that kind of, so it's like God yells at me. So here it is, I'm being yelled at, and so I then end up, doing law school, and I say the same about just really when I think about the trajectory of my life and my career. So it was really the experiences that took me to the law. But once I finally got out of law school, because that's when I found out that you could actually make money. I wasn't even, I wasn't even looking at the money aspect, right? And then I get it, I'm about to get out, I'm getting job offers, and I said, oh, wait a minute now, we can get some money. Because that wasn't the motivation. And I started practicing law, and I had to really search within myself to decide if this was what I really wanted to do. I was doing class action defense work. I was actually defending a pharmaceutical company that was accused of causing cancer for women. I was like, why would I become a lawyer again? And I had to really search within myself and decide, is this really what you want to do? And I had to kind of get back on track. And once I got back on track, that's when I became a public defender. But at that time, I was probably 26-ish or so. And so there ended up being someone that I started watching. Her name was actually Kamala Harris. If you saw my speech at the DNC, I told the story of the first time that we met. Now, my speech went longer than it was supposed to because I ended up crying and all the things. But when they give you time to speak, especially as a freshman lawmaker, which they do not do, they are very strict on you. And so, as we were working on the speech, as we wrote it, it was supposed to be 5 minutes in length. And so I could not tell the entirety of the story, but when I first met her, I talked about the fact that I honestly did not even know if I would be in Congress but for her. Because I watched her as a young Black lawyer, and she was the only Black female DA that I knew of in the entire country. It was before, it was, and I was like, wow. I was just mesmerized. And I just kept watching her career. And so I told her, I said, the fact that you didn't stop at district attorney, that you went on to become the attorney general, that you went on to become a senator, I was watching you. And so when it came time for me to run for office, I really believed that I could do it. I didn't have those doubts because you had already conquered so much. And so that was really the first part of our conversation that I wasn't able to tell about that meeting. But honestly and truly, it ended up being so full circle, just everything about the relationship that she and I ended up because she was such an inspiration and an integral part of me even believing that I could do politics at all.
I love that. She's a good friend as well. And I met her when I ran through for the U.S. Senate because of my friendship with Willie Brown, who people don't realize is from Texas. Born up again, Willie Brown, I was deputy on the 5th first black mayor of Dallas. Because Tom Bradley, Maynard Jackson, Willie Brown, and Emmanuel Cleaver were all born in or around Dallas. Tom Bradley, not so much, but we still here from Cali. But Colin is a great friend, and I love hearing that. But the moment that really thrust you into the national spotlight